Hey y'all, I'm Ada K. And I must confess, I'm a trial junkie. I enjoy viewing trials as if I was the seated juror. So grab a cup of java, get comfy, and join me as we hop into court. And don't forget to comment, like, and most importantly, subscribe. And if you're really enjoying the channel, please join our membership. Hello. Good morning. I've been having sound issues. Let's see if this works. Yes, we got sound. I don't know. Y'all, I don't know what happened. I didn't change anything. I just kept restarting. All right. I don't want to hear myself. Thank you guys for your patience. You know what? Technology, sometimes it's glitchy, nothing I can do about it, but be patient and work the process. So thank you so very much. I appreciate everybody. I'm Ada K. Thanks for joining me. We are in the middle of the Ole Miss student murder trial, and it started about 45 minutes ago. I'm actually surprised I'm here this early. I did actually get some sleep last night, y'all. Shocker! But it wasn't until 4:30 in the morning, so I'm sitting here wide awake for the moment. For the moment, I am wide awake. I'm not going to monetize that. I'll monetize. So, other than that, I hope everybody's doing well. Yay! Good morning. Hi, Angela. How are you doing? We finally got sound, I take it, from what I see on my end and can hear on my live stream. I double checked it. It sounded like we had some actual sound. Yeah, very tired. I'm so sorry, but I get it. I got it. I am going to put on some earrings. Hi, Bull Butter. How are you doing? I don't know what happened because all the settings are the same. It could have been just a StreamYard bug. Every once in a while, they get a little buggy. Nothing I can do about it, but be patient and work through it. All right, let's get into trial. It starts off, I think, with a little bit tissy-tat.
As to what would normally be in a crime lab report.
I understand what you asked me. Tell me what you think the law is anyway.
I think the law is
what?
Under 803.6 that we're introduced to report that the confrontation clause does not apply and it's admissible under the circumstances.
I know Mississippi Supreme Court is somewhere has, I believe, said that this particular issue comes up in about 70% of the cases that are tried of violence in this state. So the Supreme Court ought to have made a pronouncement on it. Go ahead and tell me what you think.
Somewhere you're supposed to know and cite where. Somewhere.
The controlling law and the direction is made clear in Lentz v. State. That's 604 Southern 2nd 243.
Thank you.
Lentz v. State. What happened there is that a lab report was created by a lab in Alabama, and it was sent to a local lab in Mississippi. And
I have one too, Your Honor.
Of the record of the Mississippi lab was the individual that was proposed to testify. The state objected to that because the individual testifying was not the one that created the lab. The state is the one that argued hearsay in that.
The student was unalived, however, no body, no weapon found, and this guy is on trial. We don't know a whole lot either, to be honest.
That it was error for
I see the judge grabbing his gavel. I got mine.
Not allow the record to be testified by the local agency. It was error because
when you say the local agency, do you mean a local police department or a local crime lab? Was there a crime lab person?
Judge, it was a local crime lab, but that's not what the distinction was made by the court. It was the fact that it was the local custodian of the records. After the record is provided The only thing that has to be, after the record is provided as an 8036 record normally kept in ordinary cause of business, only thing left has to be authenticated, and that can be done by the custodian of the records or any other qualified witness. That can be the individual that is the custodian of the record by the one taking it in to add to that agency's record, or any other qualified witness. Certainly Ryan Baker would qualify for that as the custodian of the entire record and report in this case, and as a qualified individual by being the one most familiar with it. He created the entire timeline of this. He knows what the contents of these records are. So Judge, the fact is that under 8036, this is not a hearsay document. That's clear. Moving past that, only other determination that has to be
But
made.
it's not a hearsay document or exception. Or
It's an exception because it's a clear 8036 document. So then, like I said, the only other thing we have to move to then is whether it can be authenticated through either the custodian of records or another qualified person. That's clearly Ryan Baker. And then, Judge, in addition to that, under 80324, if there's other equivalent circumstantial guarantees of trustworthiness to those that exist in other hearsay exceptions, then the condition precedent to admissibility is satisfied by the evidence to support a finding that the matter in question is what it is purported to be.
In other words, judge can just say, yeah, I think it's good enough.
That's just
All right.
an extra.
I understand your argument. I'll give the state an opportunity to respond. I don't know if I'll necessarily make a ruling at this time with the jury waiting back there. But before the conclusion of the state's case in chief, I'll give you an opportunity. I will make a ruling as to the admissibility of that document. Has it been marked for ID at this time? Somebody remind me what number that is before the state, at the time state, on or before the time court state rest, and I'll give you a decision on it.
Really?
Maybe I can give you one right now. Let me.
But Your Honor.
All right, go ahead and make the state's argument. Tell the jury.
What do you mean? What am I working on?
Okay, you already have. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. The state, I believe.
Okay. I'm going to read something that Toxic sent me yesterday. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Who's in here? My gosh, y'all were chatty catty yesterday or today. My goodness, y'all. Y'all chatted a lot last night and today. I was asleep. I finally passed out at 4 a.m. No, but I really, I'm getting to it. Okay. The victim was a college student, and this is not about gender or anything. I'm just catching people up. Oh, thank you. I'm not beating at the moment. That was my meds. This is to catch up some people who weren't here. So please do not jump on me. This is a part of the trial. Oh, that's okay. I should be beating. Okay. The victim in this case was gay. He was comfortable with his gender. He was assigned at birth, but he enjoyed dressing in women's clothes and makeup as well. That is a part of this case. There also is some texting that they had found. Okay, y'all went on. Oh, I got to read all y'all and catch up. So this gentleman has never been found. There is no weapon, but the person on trial, there's a lot of video, there's a lot of text, there's a lot of communications. Long story short, they arrested him and put him up for trial for unaliving the victim. However, this trial has been the most slowest, disorganized, chaotic, hot mess that I've ever seen. And I don't think the jury, much less us, know exactly what happened on day 7. Very hard to keep up with.
You said the Odom case, which is actually a more recent case.
How do you like my little reindeer?
383 Southern 3rd 322, which in that case, they attempted to introduce the defense wanted to introduce a crime lab report.
And this woman is treated like crap throughout
And
the
it
whole
was, in
trial
fact, ruled
by
to
the
be
other attorneys.
hearsay, because the officer was not considered even though the officer was in fact the officer over the case, the lab contents were hearsay. It says documents and reports of this nature are classified as hearsay. Similarly, in a case where an employee of a crime lab was not called as a sponsoring witness, it was error to allow DNA reports to be admitted into evidence. And it's citing to the
yes.
2012 case.
Let me do this.
Oh, this is a different kind of hot mess, love.
Staff attorney, she's sick. She and it's not here today. If y'all, I would ask her to pull those cases for her, but she's not here. If y'all would both sides pull me any cases that,
In some ways,
that you want me
yes.
to consider, I'll read those cases during our next break. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. What else we got to take care of before we bring the jury in?
No, I just wanted to make sure that, we asked to speed things up to get Detective Baker to block those.
Yes. Let's find it. You get that done, Mr. Baker?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are they consistent with one?
If you'll let me see it again, I'll pull it up on mine.
Y'all see where we stand on our homework assignments anyway.
Your Honor, I would like to also make just another point for the record as to the crime lab report. From the testimony of Detective Baker yesterday, he stated he wasn't familiar with all of the contents of the report. To assign him as the custodian of records when he stated that he thought it said something else it didn't say, he wasn't familiar with it. He doesn't know if it was made at or near the time. He can't meet the requirements of 8036.
I'll give me your cases and I'll review them in the break. Why don't y'all confer for a minute and see if we can have everything ready to go. What you looking for? I got you. I tried to sort them out a little bit there anyway. 106 is I think the last one. Go for the back anyway. I think you might be looking for the last document. I don't know if we got enough coffee cups or not now. All right, y'all be getting that together for me.
Okay. Want to give y'all an update on I know some of you have been kind of interested in my college classes. The class that I had that huge paper in, by the way, my tutor, thank you very much for your assistance. Gosh, she's good. Kept my mind where I needed it to get it done, that's for sure. So anyway, long story short, I have 100 in the class. Yay! I've never had 100 in a class that wasn't PE. That wasn't PE. And here I get 100 in this class. What is this class again? What's the name of this class? It's criminal justice. Oh, I closed it out. Hello. Welcome. Transnational crime. I got 100 for transnational crime. I can't believe I got 100. Always do the extra credit because I have all hundreds on all assignments except for one quiz. I missed one question. But because I did the extra credit, which is only a point or two, it gets me at the 100. I always tell my kid, always do extra credit, even if you think you got the best grade possible, because you never know. I had to get an extension because my paper was due the day my sister passed away. So I had to get an extension. We can Zoomy.
Evening and ready to come back to work. So if you ever have any problems with court construction, let us know. Mr. Moore, we're not starting exactly at 8:30 this morning, but we spent a little time organizing. So maybe we'll spend a little less time shuffling paper today. Okay?
Really, Your Honor?
So
What?
when we concluded yesterday,
You just admitted your
Mr. Baker was
disorganization in the
on,
courtroom?
Cross-examination. Mr. Baker, you remain under the
Really?
same oath, and you may continue your cross-examination.
Thank you. Ms. Baker, Detective Baker, we stopped yesterday.
I'm gonna get the honors.
To the, certain ping locations of Jaylee's phone, and I asked you to chart out due to the fact that you can do that.
Hello,
on the
80s
trainer,
music man.
and you had an opportunity to do that.
I did.
And I believe this is exhibit 106.
Angela,
You look
pay
at
attention how bad this can get. This lawyer is an idiot.
You have an opportunity to
He's rude.
compare your latitude and longitude coordinates with that exhibit 106 and determine whether or not it's accurate.
Yes, I did type in the latitude, longitude coordinates of those last 10 pings that you asked me to do. And for the most part, they looked fairly accurate. Our maps looked a little different, but with a point or two.
I don't want you, I'm on the same page as everybody else.
Oh. And
I want to make sure I was on the right page. Go ahead.
that the defense lawyer is rude. He snatches papers out of people's hands. He will not allow the woman to object. He's a bully. He's a court bull. He's a bully. When the lady objects on the state side, he doesn't even allow her to finish the objection. He just walks all over her, and she is still polite. I would have had sidebar, Your Honor. Can we meet in your office? I would have come freaking unglued. She tolerates him well, but they do not treat her well. Excuse me.
Plotted on that exhibit 106 consistent with the plottings of the coordinates that you compared when you plotted them.
And this is cross-examination.
Yes, just
He was
putting the
crossing
Latin
for over
long from
2
the
hours
CDRs,
yesterday.
not giving into account
3.
of the radius and the range of measurements.
Chambers.
Like CDRs are supposed to be done.
Thank you. I'd be screaming Chambers. I'd be filing complaints.
Here's no objection, so I'm gonna say, I'll say there is none anyway. All right, 106 will be admitted.
And I don't know who the other the male attorney to her
Those plotting
left
points pertain
doesn't
to the
hop up and
lat
protect her.
long Of the ping locations based on consistent with the other ping locations that you testified about earlier in this trial yesterday, correct?
Which ping locations are you talking
Any
about?
ping location.
No, they're not all consistent with all of the ping locations. No, the phone
Yep.
different. The phone locations are different.
I'm asking about the ping locations. You charted it in the same manner that you charted the previous ping locations that you introduced in the evidence, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. I want to ask you a little bit about a couple of things. You were familiar with the fact that I believe on this exhibit 106 has the Lafayette Place on here, correct?
That's their video, not mine.
Lafayette Place located on that.
not see it.
Okay. So can you tell me whether or not you were able to locate ping locations of Jalen's phone
This is the Cellbrite dude.
close
Well, the
proximity
detective who does the Cellbrite
to Lafayette Place?
investigation.
Yes, as I last has told you, that those are just the lat longs that AT&T gave. Now to properly, and that's just a guess of AT&T. You've got to take the radius and everything into effect, the sector tower, the side of the sector, so forth. You got to take all that into effect. So that's just the range. You got to take the range, be able to plot all that out, not just the lat long that AT&T gives you.
Question was, the latitude and longitude ping location from the towers at Lafayette Place and indicate in that area that his phone was located in that area, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you also, during the course of your investigation, found yourself reviewing certain search warrants pertaining to evidence there at Lafayette Place, like the lockout. Did you review the lockout and search warrant information?
I was told about it, yeah.
You haven't seen it?
John, may we approach?
You may.
Now I'm going to watch the behavior of this lawyer with her. She brings the objection. She should come to the, well, thank God. They need to get rid of the wheelbarrow. All that's evidence. I'm watching how I've got a bigger screen. You and I probably ought to do this. And do this. Probably what I should be doing. I'm really watching and paying attention to how they are treating this woman today, because I am appalled at the way this woman has been treated throughout this trial. And I'm not the first one to jump up and say, oh, it's a woman thing, it's this color thing, it's anything. That's not my mindset. But with her, I'm starting to think it's a little bit of either one or both, because it is just insane on how they have treated her in this courtroom. Oh, we got the, okay. So that's the other thing. Look at the Red Bulls, some drink. This has been the trash pile here. I've been joking about the trash pile. And this woman sitting over here by the door with her hand up in the air behind the guy's head. Uh-oh, here we go again. But let me tell you, she's pushing her way in. I like that. I like this woman. She doesn't let it get her down.
I'll be wary, okay?
All right, thank you.
I like her dress. She's very classy.
Look at that document. Jimmie, recognize the contents of that document.
For those of you who are just catching up, one of the things that this attorney is doing that's really pissing everybody off is he's handing somebody a document, say the Cellbrite guy, a document, right? And he wants him to validate it. And it's a report from the university PD, not the city PD. And he keeps trying to get the university PD documents in through a city PD. And they're saying, I didn't write this report. I wasn't here for this interview. I don't know anything about this. But yet you can read this, sir, and tell me what it says, right? I mean, you can, it's been insane. And I think all of us are kind of going like, bro. Be careful when we say that, though. That's the defendant. What do you mean? it's just been a very mean-spirited, I guess is what I want to say. That's a good way to put it.
So that document,
I've seen it before, yes.
and it appears to be what?
It appears to be the
Oh.
return for the log audit from that search warrant.
Isn't it the fact that you've got ping location data in a general vicinity consistent with the information on this lockout as far as apartment in the area of Jimmie Herrington's apartment, correct?
Yes, but during our investigation, the apartment complex said that that was not correct, that this was not working correctly.
I'm asking whether or not that lock audit y'all received in return, as return of your investigation, and the ping location general area is consistent with the location where this lock audit was retrieved.
Oh.
Herrington's apartment, correct?
Where it was retrieved, yes, with Lafayette Place.
I'm
Yes.
just ready to do some stuff.
But Dr. Bullbutter, it is their trash pile. If you look throughout the day, instead of putting their old drinks and trash in the freaking trash can during the breaks or whatever, that area looked like a trash can. It had wrappers and food and drinks that it grew. So it was a trash can on that desk.
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay, and also I haven't seen the document.
Let her look at it. I'm not sure if I understand what you're talking about.
Your Honor, my objection remains that one, it's hearsay.
I will.
It was freezing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Your Honor, we just testified, this was the lock audit return from the apartment.
This is true, but look at this desk. Just let's pause and look. Look at all this. Look at the water and all this. Okay. And we're just starting to the day, right? I know they have 1, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. I know they have their coffee, but over here, it will start piling up over here behind this computer. And it just look, you're back. Oh, good. Cause we were talking about why I called this the trash desk, because all their used drinks and everything will start piling up. And I have never seen a desk look so trashy. This has got 1 drink, 2 drinks, 3 drinks, and their coffee tray. I know I'm being picky. I guess I'm that bored with this trial. I'm noticing a lot of things. Just saying. But man, look at all this staff and printers and everything over here. Wow. I would hate to be sitting in that courtroom through all this. Oh, uncomfortable as hell.
Familiar with the fact that on July the 22nd, that y'all executed a search warrant for not only Mr. Herrington's apartment,
Yeah, well,
also the resident
here's coffee to you.
information on his apartment, correct?
Yes, sir.
What that reflects is the resident key information to the entry and the exit of his apartment as registered at Lafayette Place, correct?
Yes, sir.
Consistent with my prior question, ping locations pertaining to Mr. Lee's phone, we talked about earlier, what you answered was that there were ping location areas consistent with this apartment rented by Mr. Herrington at Lafayette Place. You said that was correct, right?
If I understand that long question correctly, Lafayette Place falls into some of the paying areas, yes.
This is the apartment.
Compound questions out the airs with this particular lawyer.
Herrington's
I got to get my little deer in.
Same day.
People are probably wondering what the heck that is.
On his residence, correct?
Yes, as I answered before, yes, that's
And
correct.
that is the return and the contents of that return to that resident key lockup, correct?
Yes, that's it, yes, correct.
For introductions to sign now.
Your Honor, same objection as to hearsay.
I'm gonna let you question him on it, but,
Whoa,
I'll
that's
let you
different.
question anything about it at this time. It's, that
Why are
document,
you
I'm not
laughing
gonna
so
introduce
hard you're
it today.
crying?
I'll hear you.
You can allow an introduction.
I'm not allowing an introduction at this time. If y'all need me to send a jury out to argue over it, I'll let you, okay? Y'all,
See, they
y'all.
do this all the time in front of the
bring it to
jury.
you.
That guy just picked a wedgie. Sorry. My bad. Love you too. Let's see if I can get through today without losing my emotions. That would be nice.
Preliminary question. Have we got some certificate of authenticity or anything like
I'm-
that with it?
I beg to differ, but thank you so much. I appreciate your love.
Executed on it, Your Honor. It's in their report. They represented that this was a return on the search warrant. The fact that it's in their
They
report,
have really
got
bad
it, he's reviewed it.
stream connection.
I'll listen to the state.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's no different than,
See?
Hang on,
See?
let Mr. Hogan finish first.
it's no different than the previous search.
Look at her. She's all like,
provided
what the hell?
to
This is exactly what I'm talking about. She go like,
search warrant. This was the return
I'm
of
gonna
that
ask
debt.
Bitch,
I'm
please.
gonna ask this, how's it, I'm gonna ask the state this, how is this any
I-
different from the return of a search warrant of a, cell
I couldn't be a lawyer in this court because bitch, please will be coming out of my mouth.
phone record, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram? How is this return of search warrant any different?
Yes, Your Honor, those came with certificates of authenticity that's stated that they were authentic and this accurately represented. It was made at the time of posting time to the practices of regulated conducting business record. This did not come with that. In fact, if Your Honor looks at it, it says it doesn't even have the defendant's name on it. They're representing that it is the defendant's apartment, but it doesn't even have the defendant's name. The problem with hearsay, Your Honor, is that when you have a testimonial document, you have to be able to question it. Within that document, as Detective Baker testified, hey, he was told this was corrupted and not accurate. And again, it doesn't say Herrington's apartment.
Okay, let me look at it. Let me look at it, okay? Or you can talk now, I'll look at it.
Your Honor, let me get part of the report. Wow.
All together now. 1, 2, 3.
Judge, this is the exhibit as offered.
It frustrates the hell out of me.
You know, they could have gotten someone from the apartment.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna give you your chance.
No, you're not. You're allowing this
Last page indicates lock audit report.
a-hole to run the court.
Department authority to use evidence. Dates, times relevant to
This person cracks me up.
locations they've already
Blue
testified
jeans,
to,
tennis shoes.
been provided in discovery,
I'm glad you feel better.
turn on the search warrant.
Just ask for the goat. I'll give you the goat. I'll give you goat.
Nothing that we-
Gladly give you goat.
Let me just read a little bit.
This judge needs to retire. Hi, baby. AH. AH. Oh, the a-hole? Yeah, he's the
Hang on,
defense.
I promise I'm gonna get to you.
My
I don't-
brain's not awake yet either.
This is my first experience at looking at a lock audit. I don't exactly know what they are.
What? What? What do you need? You gonna lay down? I think the judge is a nice person and I can like him outside of court. I am not liking how he is running this trial. Need to go potty? And I have a pupper who needs a pupper break.
I'm not
I'll be
sure
right back.
what a lock audit's supposed to do, but I see dates and times. I don't see anything. I believe, if I understand it correctly, this is one of those deals where you have one entrance door, common kitchen and living room area, and each individual has their same apartment, same. Tell me what we've got going on.
Look at the top of the last page, it's lock audit for the apartment in the photograph. Then find Herrington's whole apartment. When he walks in the door, uses his key, it registers according to that lock audit report.
Sweet, you're talking about, this is the lock of the main door, for
Yes,
lack of a better term. That's what I was,
They executed the warrant, same time they executed the warrant on the apartment. Exactly the same time, same day. They testified about yesterday to Mike Burns and argued by counsel for the state, Mr. Creekmore, that the next witness was a witness that could authenticate these documents or verify that they were received and used in the course of the investigation.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna not allow the admission of this document. I don't see any. It lacks indicative reliability in it. Apparently, contrary to testimony, it starts everywhere from, we've got,
That's the return for the dates they requested, Your Honor.
let's see that, you got,
Look at the entire
let's say,
document.
I'm looking at it, I'm looking at July the 8th here anyway. And all I see is Joseph Yoon. Wow. All these documents refer to Joseph Yoon. From this document, I can't tell that the defendant ever lived at this apartment.
Your Honor, they put in evidence. They got a search warrant on the day of. Joseph Goon is an individual apparently may have rented the apartment 5 years ago. That doesn't matter. They testified in this case that they executed a search warrant.
Are we still in the same shenanigan?
Audit of this apartment on this day that represented the apartment of
This is their feed.
Herrington.
Okay.
At the same time, they executed a search warrant on the actual apartment lock.
I figured it out. It was a little late, but I figured it out.
Testified, this was what they got back. He's reviewed it. And he says, no report of that. I was going to cross him on it. Absolutely no report that it wasn't reliable. They acted.
Boy, their feed is horrible.
Part of their investigation. I don't have to.
Let me see if I can find another feed.
Provide certificate of authenticity. They took it into the report. He can testify it's unreliable if he wants to. Do all he wants to. Just like the Burler. He introduced the Burler
Just
5 days ago. The
Okay.
Burler report
Okay.
was introduced, a return without a certificate of authenticity, because he testified, Mr. Douglas testified, they reviewed that document, had those documents that were returned to them, pursuant to a search warrant, they deemed them unreliable. It's beside the point, Your Honor. Execute the search warrant, they can point out whatever they want to on it. But at this point in time, it relates back to exactly the same search warrant involving the apartment. It's the door on the outside, just like the burglar. He introduced the burglar
Just
5 days ago. The
Okay.
burglar report
Okay.
was introduced, overturned, without a certificate of authenticity, because he testified, Mr. Douglas testified, they reviewed that document, had those documents that were returned to them pursuant to a search warrant.
They're both
They
bad.
All right. I'm gonna listen to you now.
Your Honor, the difference between that and the Burla is that the Burla, we know for a fact, came from the car. They downloaded the Burla themselves and sent it to Soto County to be read. They got a report. This, they got from the apartment, and now he wants us to just assume it's the same one. Yes, we told the apartment, but he's like opposing counsel said, Stephen, you, maybe it's someone that lived there 5 years ago. So the apartment keeps bad records. So now we know the apartment keeps bad records. Don't know if they keep correct names.
I'm gonna find it lacks sufficient indicia of reliability to be
Hey, Zach.
be admitted this time. I'll let you cross-examine him on it, but I'm not gonna send it to the jury.
Orland Doug, come on.
I won't prevent you from calling a witness to authenticate, explain what record it is and things. I think it lacks insufficient indicia of reliability.
Okay, operator.
All right. Everybody good? Show the jury back in then.
I'm going to try this feed. The video is far better, but the audio is bad no matter how we cut it. You can hear I feel it. I feel the in my ears.
You may.
Thank you for identifying District 94. You identified
And they bring the jury.
Lockhart, resident Lockhart,
Let me talk to y'all 1 second.
Why are we going to this again? Every time they go, I want. That was perfect. This video is better than the other, but I don't know about the audio.
But I show 94 was already admitted.
If I can, I always have 2 audio videos up and running.
I want you to look at the Lockhart report that came back. Just tell me whether or not that.
But it doesn't have
appears to be
captioning.
The Lockhart report that's returned as a result of the search
So
warrant,
I'm going to do this. I'm going to
I believe, on the 22nd
put my captioning on over it.
July 2022.
Yes, it appears to be screenshots that they had returned, yes.
And that's the content of the return of the search warrant. I think Mike Burke previously testified to the DD, correct?
Yes, this is what they gave us as a result of the search warrant, yes.
Do you have any reports in your file are you aware of any reports that
I got to have the caption, but I'll keep that up in the background.
Recall us talking about it. And that's why we didn't give much weight in our investigation to it, because it was a new apartment complex. They had just changed ownerships. And obviously you see screenshots. They didn't even know how to download it and give it to us in official capacity. So we didn't give it much weight because we didn't know that even to them, they said they didn't think it was correct.
do you have any reports? My question was, do you have any reports in your file that you can use for the benefit of this jury, just asking you to take the Baker? Any reports indicating that the return on this indictment that indicates the residency lock audit, either from the individuals reported to y'all that it was inaccurate, or that you determined through your investigation that they were inaccurate? You had any report indicating that in your file? Yes or no?
No, not that I'm aware of.
So again, for the first time today, you're testifying those records are inaccurate.
First time I'm testifying, what do you mean?
Today, first time we're hearing since July the 25th is when the return was done. Today's testimony is the first time that we're hearing that those lock audit reports, of resident key lock audit reports, are inaccurate, correct?
I'm just telling you that that's what our investigation revealed, and that's the way we took the investigation.
So their time was off. Their timestamps are inaccurate.
When y'all got together, and y'all got together about the search warrant on the resident that day, did you not? When you did his apartment, y'all got together afterwards and talked about what y'all had retrieved as evidence, right?
Objection, Your Honor. I thought this was to do with pings.
What's that
I
mean?
thought this was supposed to be to do with the ping data.
Open the door on this, Your Honor.
No, I'm tied to ping, it's tied to pings, or move on.
He was unresponsive to my question. He's one brought up about the inaccuracy.
At this point, you're not tying anything to pings. If you're tied to pings,
And that's the other thing.
can't move on.
You don't have anything-
This guy
I asked one question
constantly
about the
argues
You don't
the
have
judge.
anything in any report indicating that the ping locations were inconsistent with activity that you found going on in the vicinity of the apartment or at the apartment, do you?
I'm sorry, I lost you. Can you rephrase the question?
When you got the resident key information, that lined up with, did it not, your information about your exigent ping location pertaining to Jay Lee's phone, right, correct? At that time.
I know nothing about the accuracy of that, so I can't say whether it lines up or not.
No further questions.
All right, you may, redirect. Good morning. Hey, just while I'm thinking about it, Brooke has arrived, hopefully feeling better. Those case laws that y'all, re-referenced earlier, if y'all would let her, take a look at those, okay?
Y'all.
All right, go ahead. You may proceed.
Detective Baker, yesterday on cross-examination, you were asked about how you all, as an OPD, got Jay Lee's toothbrush from his apartment and more than 14 days after July 8th, and you searched Timothy Herrington's apartment more than 14 days after, and why that didn't corrupt the DNA in Jay Lee's toothbrush. Explain to me the difference.
Yeah, so the difference is that Jay Lee's apartment had been preserved. Jay Lee's roommates had already moved out, so there was nobody there. Jay Lee hadn't come back. And so it was preserved. There had been no contamination because nobody was in and out, with a few law enforcement who are trained to not contaminate the scene as little as possible. And so the difference between Herrington's apartment is he'd been in and out for 14 days, in and out, or roughly. So he'd been in and out, unlike Jay Lee's apartment. So Jim Herrington's apartment was more contaminated, and Jay Lee's apartment was preserved.
You also were asked about the searches you all did in 2024. Why are you all, as in the OPD, searching in regards to this case in 2024?
So we've continued to look at this over the last 2 years, continued to analyze phone data, location data, all these areas of possibility where Jay Lee's body could be. And so just because we did a search and we didn't do a report because we found nothing, I mentioned SOP yesterday, our standard operating procedure doesn't require us to write a report just if there's nothing there to report. And so from that day that we started the investigation until we find Jay Lee's body, I will be continuing to look for Jay Lee's body for that family, no matter what.
And finally, Detective Baker, based on your investigation, text messages, interviews, all this video, including your interview of Timothy Herrington, what did your investigation reveal happened to Jay Lee?
Global question, what happened to him?
Rephrase your question anyway, narrow it down a little bit.
What did your investigation reveal happened on July 8th, 2022?
I'm still asking for Derek.
I'm gonna have to get a more specific question. All right.
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. Detective Baker, based on your investigation, what did your investigation reveal happened between Jay Lee and Timothy Herrington on July 8th, 2022, between the hours of 4 o'clock a.m. and 7:30 a.m.?
I'm gonna allow to ask that question.
All right, so let me tell you what happened during the time between.
No, you didn't have to be present to answer that question.
Hang on. I'm gonna let him testify as to point to data that would support anything he's saying. You can't just say that. If he, I would prefer a more specific question. What did your investigation happen for?
Your Honor, I can ask it in order then.
That would be a more appropriate question.
Detective Baker, what did your investigation show that Jay Lee was doing at 4 o'clock a.m. with Timothy Herrington? All right, it's 4 o'clock, 4:01 a.m.
So our investigation showed that Jay Lee had left his apartment and drove over to Tim Harrington's apartment to meet for a mutual sexual encounter. Then after that sexual encounter where there was a little disagreement over Jay Lee giving Timothy Harrington oral sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
The argument was
evidence, Your Honor, is the defendant's interview. He stated that Jay Lee was upset when he left. That is an evidence.
Reference the testimony that supports, reports that anyway. What's the basis of your knowledge?
Detective Baker, what is the basis of your knowledge that Jay Lee was upset?
Tim Herrington said that in his interview.
Was that also in the messages that Jay Lee sent to Tim Herrington after he left the apartment?
Yes.
Following being upset, leaving the apartment, Jay Lee, what did he do to Tim Harrington's social media accounts?
So after Jay Lee left that first encounter, he went back home and he blocked Tim Herrington on all known social media accounts.
And what did Jay Lee message Tim Harrington around the time he blocked him?
So on Instagram, Jay Lee sent Tim Herrington, I just wanted to be able to say, I had you be on the down low. It was fun being your first guy. Now you're back to block.
And after that, immediately after that, did Tim Harrington contact Jay Lee again?
Yes. So that had Timothy Harrington then contacted Jay Lee on an anonymous Snapchat account.
And did Jay Lee know who was contacting him?
No, he did not.
And how do you know that?
Because he asked him who the fuck is this?
And then what did Tim Harrington do after being asked that question?
Then Tim Harrington called him 3 times via FaceTime, 3 times in a row. Jay Lee didn't answer. So Tim Harrington turned around and called him via Snap.
Case 1, go, if you're struggling, you can email me the photo. I'll clean it up and I can send it back. But you cannot fix it at the kiosk. But send it to me. I'll clean it up and I'll send it back. The only way to do it. Sorry, babe.
And was that call answered?
Yes, it was.
You can do it
Did
that
Jay
way
Lee, say
if you know how.
indicating that he knew who he was?
Don't leave your witness, rephrase
Your
your
Honor,
question.
defense counsel, when I ask a general question, he objects. When I ask,
Well, asking what
Ooh,
was,
she's getting tissy.
what was his response, on, this?
You can put it in our Discord,
do that.
case 1.
That's a little too leading. Rephrase your question.
Detective Baker, so after Jay Lee blocked Tim Harrington was triggered to contact him on anonymous Snapchat account. Following the contact, did Jay Lee ever identify who he was speaking to in the messages?
Yes, in the Snapchat messages, Jay Lee told Tim to said, have a good night, Tim.
And what did Tim Harrington, per the messages, then do to Jay Lee?
So then, but they're in the messages, Tim is asking him to come back, more than once. And so then Tim Harrington or Jay Lee agreed to come over
Case
back
1.
to his apartment after.
Can you send it to our Discord
Harrington
while you're on your
agreed
phone?
to give
I'll fix it and send
Jay
it back.
Lee oral sex from the front?
And in your interview with Tim Harrington, did he say that was something that he did?
It's not something that he did often, no.
Did he say that he's never done that before?
Now, that is a leading question.
What did Tim Harrington say?
That's a better question.
Yes, Tim Harrington told us that he'd never given oral sex before.
And Tim Harrington, following promising to give Jay Lee a sexual favor he'd never done before, what did Jay Lee then agree to do?
Jay Lee told Tim Harrington that he was coming over.
And then after Jay Lee told him he was coming over, what did Tim Harrington do?
Tim Harrington didn't respond to any more messages on Snapchat. Instead, Tim Harrington goes to Google and searches how to strangle someone.
And when Jay Lee arrived at Tim Harrington's apartment, what did he text?
He texted Tim Herrington, open.
And the Snapchat GPS ping location tower data, did it show Jay Lee in the area of Tim Harrington's apartment at that time?
Yes, it did.
And did Jay Lee ever send another text again?
He did not.
Brief indulgence. No further questions, John.
May this witness be finally excused or need to return to the witness room?
We'll keep him under subpoena.
I'll sit down, keep him under subpoena. All right, off. Continue in the courtroom, don't discuss your testimony with any other witness. I assume these folks know how to get in touch with you. We're not going to tie you to a witness room, but be available if they recall you, and don't discuss your testimony. Thanks for being here. Everybody good on the jury? Who would the state call as next witness?
Chief McCutcheon.
Call up Mr. McCutcheons. Ben, let me see.
Ooh, police officer.
This gonna be your name. All right, this-
Nice to see a fit police officer. I have been on a rampage lately about the physical condition. Whoa. The physical conditions of our officers are absolutely horrendous. They could not chase anybody down if they wanted to.
Tell the jury who you are
I'm Sheldon McCutcheon,
and what do you do.
the Chief of Police for the City of Oxford.
How long have you been the chief of police for the city of Oxford?
5 years.
Okay. Prior to being chief of police here in Oxford, what did you do?
I served as Major of Operations from 2014 to 2019. And then I worked criminal investigations prior to that. And then prior to that, a DUI officer, patrol.
All with Oxford Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What were your duties as major of operations? From 20
Overseeing large events. I was involved with the criminal investigations division, patrol, just really anything that dealt with the personnel staff of our department.
All right. And if you could, tell us how you became aware of the missing person of Jay Lee.
I was at church and either received a call or a text message that the university was working a missing persons case and that they were looking at some data that led them to believe there may have been some travel routes on Molly Bar Road in that area. So our patrol was going to check the area and just try to help them locate.
Would you make the decision about how your department was going to cooperate and assist UPD?
Yes, sir.
And what did you consider when you were informed by UPD about a university student being missing?
That we would do whatever they needed. We listened to them as far as what information they had, and then we just said, listen, wherever we can search, whatever we can do to help provide information, we'll do so.
All right. And as far as the resources that were used and the approach that OPD would in UPD, were you making those decisions?
Yes.
All right. Now, at some point, it goes from being a case being led by UPD to Oxford Police Department having jurisdiction.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that?
Yes. So it was on the 10th. We received a call that the university had been notified that the car was towed at Bandit Towing, which Bandit says, listen, we took it from Molly Bar Trails, and that's within the city limits. So we ran a priority at that point on the investigation.
No. I could speed. I watched some of this and sped it up to 2 times speed and still felt slow. I know, right? This could have been last week and we would have been done.
Mr. Creedmoor, you also have my notes. Thank you.
Y'all, this is so slow. How slow can we go?
All right, I'm going to hand you what's been marked for ID as Exhibit 107. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
These are our social media posts that we shared on Facebook and Twitter.
All right, Facebook, Twitter, anything that you shared on Facebook and Twitter, would it also go onto Instagram?
It would.
And if you could tell the jury about the social media notices that come from OPD, how does that work?
So anytime we're working a case, especially like a missing person, we want to get information out to the public. We want to share everything that we can possibly share. Our strategy is this. There's 80 some odd police officers. If we're working 24 hours a day, can't see everything, so we won't buy in from our community. So we try to push that information out anytime that we can. We'll take that relevant information of what we know, share that with the community. And then as this investigation went on, we wanted to be very informative of what we were doing so that people, again, felt like they were connected to this case.
All right, and in that exhibit, does that accurately depict the social media posts that were shared by OPD?
Yes, sir.
All right, Your Honor, this time the state would ask it be received.
Any objection?
None, Your Honor. You don't ask what the question for should be.
If you would look on page 1 of the exhibit 107, it's got looks like a turquoise or blue highlight. That wasn't part of the original post.
No, sir, those are my notes.
Okay. But didn't have anything to do with the post that was sent out or shared by Oxford Police Department.
The blue highlight did not.
Okay.
I still don't have an objection. I just want to clarify that. I do not.
All right, page 1, that first social media post, can you just tell when that occurred and what the content of that message was?
Yeah, so it's a post by the university, and then we shared that post as a missing person on July the 10th. So it's basically their post. We reposted, we reshared.
And then at that point, UPD had jurisdiction.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then on page 2, what is that?
Sir.
Describe the date.
So
and the
page
time.
2, this is going to be July the 11th. So the night of July the 10th, we work with the university to decide if this is going to be a joint investigation. So this post basically affirms that this is going to be a joint investigation between the University Police Department and the city of Oxford. And then we just shared, again, the relative information of what we knew at this time, just to let the community know, hey, this is going to be something we work together on.
All right, and the next page.
This is July the 12th, and we're updating that Crime Stoppers is giving a reward. And then we're kind of just educating people on what we're doing. Again, same kind of similar format. It's a joint post together.
And the content is all about seeking what?
It's for locating information and to find Jay Lee.
Okay. And does it provide numbers for the public to call if they have a response?
Yes, sir. It shares, it's got our information on there, as well as our public information officer's email.
All right. The next post.
The next post is on July the 13th. This is a video of Mr. Lee sharing a story about his son and compelling the community to come forward and give information. This was a video that we shot with him, speaking directly to our community.
All right. Next.
This post was shared July the 14th, and again, it's information about Crime Stoppers, but also another pledge of $5,000.
Zach, I'm going to time your butt out.
To information for Jay Lee, and again, it's a little bit of an update of what we're doing and the information that we have on the new Crime Stoppers information.
So July 10th, July 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Next.
The next post we made was July the 19th. Again, it's same format, another update for the community.
Okay. Now, were there any other on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
I don't believe so. I believe those were specifically involving this case.
All right, the remainder of the pages in that exhibit, are they
What?
the duplicates, for lack of a better word, that you would have shared on other media platforms?
Yes, sir. It's the same thing, but we just wanted to show what it looked like on Twitter. And I don't think we put Instagram in here, but it's all the same. It just showed that each platform got the same content.
All right. Now, we've heard testimony about Khalid Fears responding based on that request for information on those posts that were sent out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what day that was that you got that tip from Khalid Fears?
I believe that was on the 10th, but I feel like that came from the university.
Okay, 10th or 11th?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you receive any other tips?
We received a lot.
All right. If you could describe in general the amount of tips and what your protocol was in addressing those tips.
Yeah, so we knew going into this that we probably would get a lot of information. And so we set up a tip line and we took every tip and took it in and then sought it out. We chased every lead that we could. The tips were very important. And with any case, you get a lot of information, and we took everything with the information that we had, and then we chased that lead down until we could move on to the next.
All right. Was there any way to evaluate or assess the material value of a tip as it first came in?
In a situation where you've got a young person missing, you don't triage it, do you believe it? You take it for what it is and you go after it. We received tips from other states and we contacted law enforcement to run those down. We didn't take it as, I don't know if I can verify this. We went after every piece of information they gave us.
All right. And what was the response when the Khalid Fears called and gave information?
He was interviewed. We went and met with him.
All right. Now, at this point, at this stage of the investigation, when it went from UPD to OPD jurisdiction, can you describe what type of resources that you authorized to come to bear on the investigation at this point?
Everything we could get our hands on. All of our local law enforcement worked on this. We connected with state partners, federal partners, anybody that we could utilize that had a skill set, we brought them into this.
All right. And at the same time, were you aware of investigators gaining access to Jay Lee's social media accounts and
Yes, sir.
through UPD's efforts?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you able to get people that he would have been friends with or had contact with in and around that time?
We did, yes, sir.
All right. So you've got that information. You've got the tips. Can you evaluate all of that information, just in general, the people that had contact with Jay Lee, the names that you would have gotten from that information, as well as the tips? Let me finish the question. as well as the tips that came in comparison to the information that you found on Tim Herrington?
The information.
Hold
we
on
got-
1 second.
I object to the form of that question.
I hate to ask you to repeat all of that anyway.
I can.
I think I can answer.
I'm gonna allow him to ask the question anyway.
If we got first, it's compound, first of all.
That's, let's break it up into little pieces.
What I'm asking, Chief McCutcheon, is to evaluate the names that were revealed as persons of interest, either from the social media tips that came in and the information that you found about friends and contacts with Jay Lee compared to the other information that you got implicating Tim Herrington.
Y'all object to the form of the assessment narrative.
It's not a narrative, it's a comparison of the quality of information on all the people that were persons of interest compared to Tim Herrington.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. I'm gonna break it up into two different questions anyway. Comparing the quality, talk about the quality of the one set of evidence and quality of the other set of evidence, but not comparing the two anyway. If that makes any sense.
Did you keep a running list of persons of interest?
Yes, sir.
All right. You did personally.
Yes, sir.
All right. Where did you get that information?
From our investigators.
All right. And you've already testified that you tried to track down every tip that came in.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you do that?
We did.
All right. On each one of those persons of interest, were you ever to develop anything connecting them to Jay Lee, other than in relation to the morning of July the 8th, 2022?
We found no information of any of the leads that we tracked down of those persons of interest that gave any evidentiary value during the time of July 8th. And that's the way we were able to clear other people of interest.
All right. Now, you got a tip from Khalid Fears about Tim Herrington. What other evidence did you get after that point that would implicate Tim Herrington within that time period?
We had a volume of information that pointed to Tim Herrington. I think when we received,
Thanks, just get we hashed over all the evidence that the city had. What are we trying to accomplish here?
I think our last witness restated the evidence in this case anyway. I'm not going to go a second rehash anyway.
Understood. With respect to
so I have to do that, we value the weight of that evidence. And the case that we're working, we said, send it all. And it was my authority to take everything that we received and to try to get it tested.
all right. Now, taking a look at Tim Herrington's apartment, did you send investigators down to try to obtain samples from Tim Herrington's apartment?
We did.
All right. And were some of those samples sent down to the lab to be tested?
Yes.
And it's scientific evidence. It requires professionals to do. There's going to be an expense associated with that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, at the time that those samples were obtained by law enforcement, did you have any concerns about the chances of finding anything of evidentiary value as a result?
Absolutely.
What were your concerns?
Time. I mean, 14 days, we can't predict who's come, who's gone, what's happened in there. The conditions have all changed over that period of time. That's a huge concern for us.
All right.
Hello, Sherry.
Talk about time. What is that time range?
It was 14 days from the initial investigation beginning when a welfare concern started till July the 22nd when we knocked on Tim Harrington's door.
Were you in control of that crime scene from July 8th to July the 22nd?
No, sir.
Who was in control of that crime scene from July 8th to July 22nd?
Tim Harrington.
Rephrase the question.
Do you know who was in control of Tim Harrington's apartment from July 8th to July 22nd?
Tim Harrington.
Okay. Now, were you aware of, well, let me ask you this, what are some types of things
Good morning, Toxic.
that could be of concern if you're not in control of that crime scene?
Well, for not,
What are some of the things you'd be concerned about and we're not in control of?
I'm gonna allow him to, I'm gonna allow him to ask that.
Casemon, check your
I'm concerned
Discord.
about everything. There's
Mods,
no
check your
control.
Discord.
When
You.
we are dispatched to a location.
Yes, margarita.
It's imperative
Definitely a
we
margarita
occupy
moment.
as quick as possible. If you don't,
Hey,
every
Dawn,
factor
missing
is
ya.
important.
Thought about you.
DNA, trace evidence, that kind of thing.
It's, yes, sir. All of those things are going to be impacted.
All right. Did you have, as part of your investigation, any heightened concerns about any of those factors based on the conversation between Tim Harrington and Jay Lee between 4 and 7/28 on July the 8th, 2022?
Yes. Jay Lee tells him that he left a sample on his floor and he needed to clean it up. That was an obvious statement made.
And what about that would concern you about the evidentiary value of
Yay.
kind of biological evidence that may be?
Oh, my hearing aids just started squealing.
That has been cleaned.
Now then, the box truck, were you aware as part of the investigation that you authorized testing of samples taken from the box truck?
Yes, sir.
Were you concerned about whether any of those items gathered would have any evidentiary value for you?
Yes, we're very concerned.
Why?
Again, you have time, you have admission of multiple moves. We don't even know if the contents that were in the truck the day we recovered it was the same contents that was in the truck July 8th. That amount of time and that amount of people that had access to it and the multiple moves.
All right. In the time frame from July 8th to when samples were taken from the box truck, do you know that range?
The 24th or 26th, it was close to 3 weeks.
All right. I believe there were some moving blankets in the back of the box.
So true, love.
Yes, sir.
Would you have had any way to know when those blankets were put in there?
No, sir.
Are we all upset at Zach because he went baby shark do 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 baby shark do 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 it's in my brain do 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 I hate you, Zach.
To July the 24th.
Yeah.
2022.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
We know
that's
that
stuck in my
Tim had it
freaking
on
brain.
tape, but he had other partners who had access to it, and I believe it was Tyson King that we stopped the day that had the truck. So we know multiple people had the truck and had access to it.
All right, and then Tim Harrington's Ford Escape, were samples gathered after that?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you know, are you familiar with the examination of the back of that vehicle?
A little bit to my knowledge, yes, sir.
All right, and what did you know about that played into your decision to have samples tested out of that?
They used a tactic that identified, and again, this is not my skill set, but they used a tactic to identify something that brought color out that led our investigators to believe there was presence of something there at some point. That was the reason that we chose to go ahead and do samples on that.
Now, with respect to Jay Lee's car, I believe there was an initial search for the contents, the credit cards, the cash, and then that was later sent to the crime lab.
Yes, sir.
To obtain samples for DNA testing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And you authorized some testing of items or samples that were taken from Jay Lee's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
All right. Did you have any concerns about whether there would be anything of any evidentiary value as a result of that DNA testing?
Yeah, I mean, we showed that Tim was in that car, and you know, again, we talk about transfer and DNA, so it's anytime elements have changed, you have to understand the changing of what's going to take place and what you can extract is going to be adjusted.
Was there anything else in the investigation, surveillance, or anything else that would have indicated you may not have been able to find anything of value in Jay Lee's car?
One of the things that concerned me was when we saw the video from Molly Bar Trails, you see Tim in a sweatshirt, you also see some type of cloth material over his shoulders, which it looks like he's running in. And can that be placed on the steering wheel? Is that used to cover up fingerprints or any other trace? That was a big concern to us.
I don't understand exactly how we're getting to the point of asking a question about something and getting into.
I'm going to ask him, let him respond specifically to your question. If you have a question about some item or something, let him explain from there, okay?
Thank you. Now, have you seen the video or reviewed the video of Jay Lee leaving Campus Walk Apartments 2 times?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Haley Bowles.
2022?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who was in control of the key to his car and his cell phone at that time?
Jay Lee.
All right. Who would have been, do you have any proof as part of your investigation as to who was in control of the key to Jay Lee's car and his cell phone at 7:28 on July 8th, 2022?
Tim Herrington. We saw the video of, we saw the car, so Jay Lee's car driving, Jay Lee's phone is tracking with that car. We see the car going to Molly Bar Trails. We see Tim Herrington running out. All of that is exactly what we saw in between 7:02-ish to 7:28. And at 7:28, there's no more access to Jay Lee's phone.
All right. Now, can you tell the jury how many agencies, law enforcement or otherwise, were involved in this investigation?
From local, state, and federal, I counted as easy as 27 to 30 that I saw actively involved in this case, from us to UPD to the Sheriff's Department, to, again, state partners and our federal partners that assisted with us.
And that's from every aspect, from tracking down leads, tips, ruling people out, to testing of evidence.
Yes, sir.
Now, on July the 8th through July the 11th, even up to the last social media post about asking.
Zach, go to Discord, please. I have a question for you.
Jay Lee, missing person. Y'all, including other agencies, conducted
Please.
searches of specific sites.
Yes, sir.
What was the purpose of those searches?
It was really just to leave no stone unturned. I mean, you get a tip in, or, you know, when you start an investigation, you start it from what evidence do you have? So we knew we had a car, we knew that car was at Molly Bar Trails, and we knew where Jay Lee lived. We took those three starting points and then broadened our search from there. Again, as tips came in, we would run those down, but we looked in wooded areas, we looked in dumpsters, we knocked and talked on apartments, we canvassed everything that we could possibly canvass. And as the days went on, we would expand those to, what about the next apartment complex over?
Haley Mouse, please go to Discord,
Again,
please.
if a park is nearby, if there's anything that would lead us to a probability, we searched all those areas.
All right. And if you could, speak to the jury about the difference between the terms search and rescue.
You know, search to me is what can you find? You're kind of looking for anything. At this point, we're kind of looking for a key that looks about twice the size of your thumb, right? So we're looking for that. We're looking for a cell phone. We're looking for Jay Lee. We're looking for any of the articles of clothing that he's reported in being seen in last. All those things are items of what you would look for on a search. When you get into search and rescue, you sometimes have an idea of an exact location or an exact proximity of what you're trying to gather. And so you go from search to rescue because you feel like you're getting something out of that.
All right. Now, the last searches that were conducted within the last 3 months, did you authorize those?
I did.
All right. Did you inquire from the state whether that would have any effect on the trial?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you aware that any of that information would have to be shared to the defense?
I
Yes, sir.
did, Haley
Some of
Mouse.
the areas
Looks
that
great.
were searched, were they controlled by or near family members of the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Would those searches have been conducted, would be open and honest?
Feliz
Yes, sir. All day
Navidad.
long.
Feliz Navidad.
Now, those searches that were recent, what were you looking for?
Again, anything of evidentiary value. You're obviously, your main priority is Jay Lee, but you're looking for anything that could give you evidence to point you in another direction, to continue giving you feedback.
And the main importance was Jay Lee. Why now? July, that he went missing July 8th, 2022. Why are you still looking for Jay Lee's body?
We've been looking for Jay Lee's body for 2 years, and we're not going to stop till we find him. And I can guarantee you that.
Now, at this point, taking all of what you've learned from the investigation, at what point, taking all that into account, can you pinpoint, based on any proof that you have, the moment that
Now I got Baby Shark Feliz Navidad. Baby Shark Feliz Navidad. Come on, y'all. Quit it.
I think once we begin to gather enough
Oh,
information,
Dawn. Oh,
you always,
that sounds good.
Try to pinpoint the time and then explain why you felt that way.
we didn't get to the point that we felt like we went from a welfare concern, missing person.
Go ahead and either rephrase the question or answer that question first.
can you pinpoint a time based on your investigation when Jay Lee went from missing person to a victim of a crime?
From the moment that we gave Tim Herrington the opportunity to tell the truth and he couldn't, and he lied, and we backed that up, we knew then that it went from a missing person to a dead body.
And I want to be more specific about that. I'm looking for not when during the course of the investigation, you believe that Jay Lee went from being a missing person to a victim of a crime, but now, at what point, what time frame would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that you have proof that Jay Lee was a victim of a crime? Was that on July the 8th? And what time? Pinpoint the time.
So the timing is from 0600 to 728, from the time that we know Jay Lee's alive and he messages open to the time at 728 when his phone is done and there's no digital footprint of Jay Lee ever again.
Okay. And what proof would you point the jury to that would establish that he was no longer with us at that point?
During that timeline, I looked at, we've shown you motive. We've shown you that Jay Lee was lured over, that there was.
Hang on, Mr. Jackson.
Feliz Navidad, baby shark do 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 do. Feliz Navidad do 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 do.
Hang on.
Baby shark do 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 do. Feliz Navidad.
Is what proof do you have
Feliz
at that
Navidad.
point in time, time frame from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7:28, that Jay Lee was the victim of a crime, and he was beginning to say,
Ask him what happened between 6 o'clock in the morning and 7:28.
What? Sure. My objection is, witness can't say what we've shown you. He had been sitting in his courtroom listening to the evidence.
I understand that. I'm gonna let him talk about what evidence the Oxford Police Department.
It's when I get a nasty,
6 o'clock in the morning. and
nasty
7:28 in the morning.
protein drink.
So our evidence
But I drink it.
is motive. Tim Herrington didn't want to be out of being on the down low. He lured Jay Lee over to his apartment with an alternate Red Eye 24 account that even in Jay Lee's words, he's felt like he's being lured over. Jay Lee says, "I'll come later tonight." Tim says, "Nope, gotta come now because I'm not gonna be here later tonight." That's a lie, because he was in Oxford later tonight. We have the moment.
hold on one second, Chief. He's being responsive to the question. The circumstances matter.
I'm gonna allow him to testify. Go ahead.
He had the blocked account. He says, Jay Lee says, "I'll come over later tonight." Tim says, "Nope, gotta come now because I'm not gonna be here," which was a lie. He wasn't up for that night. Jay Lee tells him he's coming, says open, while Tim is Googling how to strangle someone. Then 30 some odd minutes later, Tim
What?
leaves and goes to Walmart to get duct tape,
Really?
then leaves and goes and gets a box truck.
Ooh.
Goes back to his apartment, the last known location.
We finally getting some evidence, y'all.
And stages that car. We see him running out of Molly Bar.
Oh, you're not liking this defense.
I'm going to ask that you not allow a narrative form, but that you direct him a question. What happened then? What happened?
Oh.
Okay? I asked it personal, instead of a narrative response, the response should be a question followed by an answer of what next, what happened next. Okay?
Yes, sir. And I will ask you this, all that you just told the jury, do you have personal knowledge of?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He's indicated he's been in charge, he has knowledge of the investigation.
Do you know from the investigation what significance July 8, 2022 had for Jaylee and Stephanie Lee?
It was the day that their son was taken from him, and it was her birthday.
Were you aware of the type of relationship that Jaylee had with his mother, Stephanie?
Yes, they talked.
What's
Were
wrong
you
with the
aware of the nature of the relationship that Jaylee had?
I'm gonna let-
with his mother, Stephanie?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, they were very close. They spoke all the time, multiple times a day, often.
You were aware of what day it was for Stephanie Lee?
It's her birthday.
Really?
After 7:28, well, actually, after 6:03,
Is that better?
well, let me ask you this. Do you know when the last message
I have all volume turned up, Ronnie.
from his phone?
It's just crappy court.
It was a message of open.
Do you know what time that was?
It was around 6:03 that morning.
At any point after that, were you aware of
Dusty.
any other message that came from Jaylee's phone?
No.
Course indulgence. Into the witness.
All right, we've been out here a while. Let's take a look.
Sorry. If I may.
You may.
After every hour, you want to have a break?
We're talking
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Well,
You got
I
it
won't
under
say
the
what I'm
wire.
thinking.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You were talking about pinpointing the time based on the investigation as to when Jaylee was the victim of a crime. And that range was 6:03 to 7:28.
Yes, sir.
All right. At all times during that time frame, was Jaylee and Tim Herrington, those events, did they all occur in Lafayette County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State of Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Tend to the witness.
All right, we're gonna take a little break. Y'all been out there a while. Remember court instructions, don't talk about the case, don't anyone talk about the case with you. Don't form or express any opinions. Don't, investigate. Don't look any media first.
All right, guys. Wow. What is y'all's humble opinion? We can zoom. If my mouse would just freaking work. Well, I think I just. My mouse is acting up, y'all. No, I don't want that one. I need this one up. Why can't I get it up? The video up. Gosh almighty. For some reason. There it is. Okay. So we're finally, guys, getting into some sort of
Defense
testimony.
moved to introduce into
Let me get this queued up.
Did the, well, at some point today, the
All right, let's go.
defense moved to introduce into evidence the crime lab report, and I'm familiar with both arguments made in support and in opposition to the introduction of that report. I think the facts in this case are more analysis to Odom versus State 383 Southern 3rd 322, where the defense was trying to introduce a report from the crime lab report without a witness from the crime lab. The witness who was questioned about this had many times, he said, I don't know what that means. I haven't seen that. Well, I may have seen the report, but I'm not aware of this, that. And I think that there's nothing precluding the defense from calling somebody. I'd probably let you call anybody, any of the crime labs involved in it that had some expertise, whether it be the state crime lab, scales lab, or anybody like that, to authenticate the document and give us some basis of how it was created and things like that. But I'm going to deny the admissions. And also in Odom versus State, this court stated, further, it is noteworthy that despite this exclusion, the jury still heard testimony that in fact paint samples collected in the victim's car and Odom's van and compared to each other. I think the jury, I've allowed, I think, extensive cross-examination on the fact that there had been no DNA, fingerprints, and things like that from at least 2 and maybe 3 witnesses. Juries have been allowed to hear this testimony. It's just whether or not the report is being introduced or not.
John, for the record, so we can be perfectly clear, it's not that this witness probably ought to step out while I make this argument.
Okay, won't you step out anyway?
It's not the fact that there's no DNA recovered in this case. That's not the evidence. The evidence so far is from Detective Baker. He's identified in the report DNA samples were recovered that don't implicate my client in certain areas. So that's, I think, needs to be cleared up in the record. We're going to go through with this witness. Unfortunately, it's going to take a lot longer since he testified. He wouldn't expect to find any DNA samples when, in fact, we got all kind of DNA samples, DNA profiles located at various locations. So I want the record to be clear that it's not that we don't have DNA for Mr. Herrington, Jay Lee, and other individuals, other donors unidentified everywhere. It's just the fact that there's no DNA samples implicating my client in any areas he shouldn't be, and Jay Lee is in the areas he's supposed to be.
And I understand that, and I'm gonna let you cross-examine extensively on the report, the results of the report, what was asked for, what was sampled, but the report itself going to the jury is I'm gonna let you cross-examine the witnesses, but I'm not gonna let you introduce the report without a sponsoring witness.
And I will say that he mischaracterized the testimony from this witness. What he said was that he had concerns about.
I just saw that, Dawn. Looked like me.
I wrote it down.
I wake up, it's all,
Wouldn't expect to have any.
my hair's weird.
any results.
When it's wet, it's curly. When it dries, it's
The
frizzy straight.
record will speak for itself. I'm not gonna pretend I know exactly what he's
I'll
about.
cross them and ask and clear it up, Your Honor, before I move forward in that line of question.
But I'm gonna give you extensive latitude in cross-examination, but the report itself will not be admitted without the sponsoring witness that can talk about procedure of testing and things like that.
Your Honor, I do want to
Well, I'll go further to say that I don't think the fact that this officer, or these officers, have a crime lab report in their possession makes them the custodian of the record.
I understand where it's written. I want to be clear on the record, Your Honor. His statement was, as I recall, was no evidence in the bag, and I'll ask him about it along with.
All right, I'm gonna give you wild latitude to, y'all. All right, how long we been out? All right, long enough for jury to come back anyway. All right, show them in.
Bring the jury.
All right, everybody good on the jury? All right, you may cross-examine for the defense, I think. Oh, yeah, let's get the chief back. We weren't gonna start without you. You remain under the same oath and you, can, cross-examine it.
Good morning, Chief. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Fine. I want to clarify some things. I want to make sure. I gathered that your information that you got initially on this particular case, you said earlier there was a joint effort between UPD and OPD early on, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been shortly after Ms. Lee came to Oxford, is that correct?
No sound?
Sometime in the 8th, I guess I would say.
Oh,
I
That's on me,
believe,
not
Ms. Lee
you.
reached out to the university on the 8th.
Okay, all right. And you indicated you still had the exhibit.
Yes, sir.
May I approach you?
You may.
Chief, this representation of the Facebook post that is introduced as State's Exhibit 101, all the content in here as far as post engagements and account center accounts received, all these numbers on here, are those representations that were done at the time of this investigation, or is this something you printed out recently? I'm not talking about the post,
Sure.
but all the information that apparently the likes and things of that nature, that represents what you printed out during your investigation or in preparation to coming to court here today?
That was, I believe, a May 2024 printout, or
Sure.
analytics came from that month.
And I want to be sure, all the information that, and I ain't much, I don't even have Twitter, okay? So this 19,875, all this stuff is the record of that Twitter account in May of 2024.
Yes, sir.
All right, it's not in relationship to the July 8th, 2022 date, correct?
I believe, yes, where post engagements are going to be more of your specifics. If we pulled up each individual post, and I'm not sure any of those.
I guess my question is,
The majority of what you're asking is here, found here at the bottom.
right,
These
Hello,
analytics
this
would
is
have
Ada
been
Brown.
what
I'm
was
the
the
deaf
total
blind
touch point
sensei.
from the time we printed that.
I'm reading
time that
everything
post
you
was made
say.
to the time
We rescued a kitten.
notwithstanding that fact, there was a lot of interest.
I'm Ada Brown. I'm the deaf
Jaylen's
client.
sister,
I have Sensei the
correct?
service dog.
Yes, sir.
We rescued a kitten a while back and she's now had her first heat. We need to get her fixed, and I need to know what y'all charge. She's a rescue out of a bunch of,
When it was first reported.
there's a bunch of feral
Until
cats.
now,
No.
Constantly, as evidenced by this particular exhibit, a lot of activity keeping up with this particular incident locally, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I
I'd say
wanna
she's
talk to you
pushing a
little bit
year.
About,
Well, no, wait. No, she'll be a year in
you stated about.
I wanna
the
say
DNA,
April. February, March, April.
Collection of DNA
At,
evidence.
somewhere. She's had her first
The
heat.
report that came back from Scales Laboratory.
I don't know that I have seen Scales' report.
All right, but you testified on direct examination that you wouldn't anticipate.
All right.
gathering, and
When
wrote
can
it
I
down,
get her
correct me if I'm
in?
wrong, no evidentiary value. Because
Right.
there was a delay in time.
I'm
from
looking, I know I get
July
finances
8th
around the
until
21st of the
somewhere
month.
around 2022, before you collected any evidence
Okay.
from Mr. Harrington's apartment. Is that what you testified to?
That, what was that question?
The question is,
Well, what's happening is I've never
representation
seen a cat
that
do
you
this.
wouldn't-
She's
you would not
spraying.
anticipate any evidence, any sample.
I didn't know females did that.
Value if they were collected from July the 22nd, 24th, or 25th. If you were concerned about a crime scene or a potential crime scene, July the 8th, 2022.
All right, you gave me multiple dates, so.
July the 8th is the date that you indicated that Jay Lee came up missing, correct?
Yes, sir.
July the 22nd, Mr. Harrington is arrested, correct?
Yes, sir.
July the 23rd, 22nd, samples were collected out of his apartment, correct? For purposes of sending off for DNA, saliva, blood, whatever.
Yes,
right?
sir.
You weren't just doing DNA samples for purpose of one thing. You were doing a crime scene investigation, correct?
Correct.
So I think your testimony was that you'd be concerned about there being any evidentiary value because of the 14-day period, right?
Yeah, I think what I said was you have to take into the fact that the results are going to be diminished after time and elements and things that happen.
Are you familiar with the fact that, have you been informed that Scales Laboratory has provided a report representing what their findings were?
Yes, sir.
And did you know that they found evidence of value in Jimmie Harrington's apartment, DNA profiles at his apartment that was collected 14 days from the time from July the 8th? Did you know that before you testified?
StreamYard is
That
being
they
horrible
found-
right now because I had it
If you have
muted
something, I'd
and
love
it
to look at
popped
it.
it off. StreamYard's been acting up today, so I apologize.
So there's thousands of reports. I'd like to see the one you're referencing.
Okay, I'll have to find out what exhibit number it is.
You're probably looking at 103.
I'm sorry, guys. Let me pause this for a moment. On which one I'm on. I apologize, guys. I am muting my mic and it's not wanting to stay muted. StreamYard has been a freaking nightmare today, and I don't know what's happening. So, my apologies. Yes, I'm going to have to get my cat spayed. Life. I'll be back.
And you were, they provided ID that states exhibit 103. I don't expect that you're gonna be able to testify that you've ever reviewed You ever seen that report before?
I don't believe so.
May I sit down? D103. You never seen a report before?
I don't know that I saw it. I've seen it.
Well, how is it that you can come in here and testify, Chief? I'm just curious. I'm not gonna be argumentative with you. But you wouldn't expect to have any DNA profiles of evidentiary value in this case. If you have it,
Your Honor, object to the formal question. That's a mischaracterization of the testimony that he was to say that he asked.
Y'all may have noticed I forgot some hearing aids in this morning. I spent a lot of time looking like Dumbo. Go ahead.
The question was, putting words in the witness's mouth as if he said he would expect to find no evidentiary value. That was not the testimony of this witness. It's an improper question.
I'll rephrase it.
There you
Your Honor.
go.
I
That
thought
makes
that's
it
what
easy.
you testified to. Chief, and again, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Would you go to page 10 of the exhibit?
Okay.
And read read the bottom where it says conclusion. Just read it, please. I'm not,
I don't know if he's saying read it out loud.
just read it to yourself, I'm sorry.
Read it out loud.
Okay, that's,
Did not object.
all right, we read it to yourself right now.
You had the opportunity to read it, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I go to the next page, page 11, and I certainly don't expect you to understand some of the terms in here, but because it takes a while to read this report, but go to number 10. You don't have to really look at number 9. Read number 10 on the report. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The DNA profile identified in number 10 indicated that it came from the interior back cargo door swab, correct?
Yes, sir.
Item 001T2, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Number, item 10, double.
Objection is.
Oh my gosh, here we go again.
I can.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. Partial. Item 10 indicates that the partial male DNA profile obtained from the interior back cargo door swab and item 00T2 do not match Jimmie Herrington's DNA profile. Correct?
What vehicle are we talking about?
I'm fixing to get to that when I get done with
And Your Honor, I don't think we're there yet. He's asked the witness to review the document, and then he's gone straight into testifying on the document.
I'm gonna let him, let him ask.
You should ask if these.
Yeah, open this up on cross.
He has been tendered in this case, court feels, or somebody to sum up the evidence anyway. And if you're gonna sum up the evidence, you gotta take cross-examination on the evidence.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. It says the partial DNA profiles obtained from the interior back cargo door swab and item 001T2 do not match Jimmie Herrington's DNA profile or the major contributor DNA profile obtained from Jimmie Lee's toothbrush. Is that what it says?
That is what it says.
All right, now, I could go down every one of these items if need be. Just flip through the page. 11, 12, and page 13. Tell the court how many items are at the conclusion of the list on page 13 of 13. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's 35 items listed in this report, correct?
There are 35 numbers. I've never seen a document like this before, so I don't know how it's labeled as far as, are they saying this is sample 1, sample 2?
35.
I do see 35 on there.
35 items that the Scales Laboratory gave conclusions on as to some type of testing, apparently in this report, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you'll look at item number 35. It indicates, it's already in the evidence in this trial, that hair was collected from the t-shirt. These hairs were not examined. However, they can be examined upon request, correct?
Yes, sir.
34, read that if you would, please. To yourself. You had the opportunity to read it?
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the location of these items that were identified in 34, but it appears to me in this report, as reported by George Shiro, that those items were not examined. The black Ford Fusion keys, card, driver's license, and receipts.
Your Honor, it's a mischaracterization.
What's in the report?
It's in, I'm reading the report, that it was not examined and could be examined upon request. We've already had testimony about it. Your Honor.
I think we've heard testimony that, I think we can say that the keys from the Ford vehicle.
Those items, according to this report, could be examined upon request, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you make the decision, or did someone under your direction make any representations not to test those items?
No, sir. It was our understanding that everything was going to be tested. I've got a bill for $30,000 that what we sent was to be tested.
But it's a fair representation that those items were not tested, correct?
Correct.
All right. I want you to go to item number item number 24 on the list, if you would, please.
Are you still under conclusions?
Yes, that's all, we're sticking to conclusions. That's all we're gonna talk about.
Okay.
Read that pertains to the sweatpants. As far as the stain on the sweatpants, I'm just giving examples that there were DNA items sent to the lab, came back with results. Read that for me, please, as to the sweatpants. Have you had a chance to read it to yourself?
Working through it. Okay.
And it appears to indicate that there were 3 DNA profiles on the sweatpants stain from Mr. Harrington's apartment, that Timmy Harrington can't be excluded, but Jay Lee was excluded, right?
Sir, I've never seen this. I don't understand how to truly interpret this. I've never did an analysis of DNA
Because
from,
if you had an opportunity to read it.
I am, but it is very confusing.
Okay. I guess my question is, Chief, your previous testimony that you wouldn't expect to find any DNA profiles from the 14-day delay is not represented in this report.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
What I said was time, manner, circumstances diminish. I never said it was a 0.
Okay. Well, in this instance, the report indicates that they were successful in providing DNA profiles and a report in this particular case, right?
Ask an answer. So you can't read the report, can't offer any conclusions based on the report.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Have you had any information provided to you by Detective Baker after he's reviewed the report that Jay Lee's DNA, saliva, hair, urine, or any trace evidence showed anything whatsoever that it wasn't where it was supposed to be, and that Mr. Harrington's DNA where it was supposed to be? Has anything been reported to you as far as any crime lab report that there's any trace evidence at all, trace evidence at all, implicating my client in anything whatsoever pertaining to the investigation of this case? Trace evidence. I'm not talking about the videos or whatever. I'm talking about trace evidence, Chief.
No, sir.
And it's a fair statement that y'all got a 13-page report back pertaining to everything that was recovered, right?
Yes, sir.
You indicated previously that you met regularly with the officers on this case. Y'all make decisions on a regular basis, right?
Yes, sir.
At 27 agencies, according to your testimony, involved in this investigation. Is that a fair statement?
No, sir. I said 27 law enforcement personnel that I saw
Oh,
on
I
a regular
thought you-
basis, not agencies.
I'm sorry, but were you aware of the content of the statements of any of those persons of interest
Are y'all getting an echo?
related to this case?
We would debrief, yes, sir.
All right. Now, a person of interest, Chief, is not necessarily somebody that's a suspect. Is it a person of interest includes somebody that may have information, right?
Yes,
That
sir.
leads to a suspect, right?
A person of interest could come in from like a tip or anything that
Hey, Britta.
we talk to this person. That's interesting to us. We would look at that as a person of interest.
Were you informed that individuals that had come in contact with Jay Lee were given deceptive information about their connection to him. I'm not talking about whether or not they were later eliminated as a suspect. Was your investigation impeded by virtue of the fact that certain people weren't being as cooperative early on as you felt like they should be?
No, sir.
At all?
If people were not cooperating with us, no, sir.
Well, can you explain why in McGuire's report, it states in the report that certain individuals are being quote unquote deceptive about their connection to Jay Lee. These are some of his friends. Can you explain to me why, or was it reported to you that those individuals were being deceptive and providing false information?
So Shayla McGuire doesn't work for the city of Oxford. So if she filed something, it would be with the university. If you have something that she has, I'll be happy to look at it, but she works for the university police.
I understand that, but y'all were working together as a joint effort. Did you have any information that individuals that were reporting to UPD and OPD investigators weren't being completely honest about their relationship with Jay Lee?
No, sir. I mean, I don't understand what you're asking. Shayla McGuire, again, doesn't work for us, so if she has
I'm asking
something.
Any information?
Everyone that we met with, we didn't have anybody that did interview with us.
Are you familiar with the fact that Detective Baker had conversations with individuals with UPD involved in an investigation and interviews together with certain individuals?
I'm sure I'm sure we met with different people. I don't know who all Detective Baker met with.
What reports have you reviewed in this particular case from your agent?
Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day. Till next time, take care.